not important what the council is saying to words, is the energy behind the words. This is what they are intercepting, and is going straight into their light bodies, into their crystalline light body and diamond light body, into their pineal gland, into their heart consciousness.
Woo!
When they are transmitting, they are somehow bypassing the mind and are putting the mind into theta waves and even epsilon waves. So are going into a state of like dreaming, but also awakening and also activating. It's very interesting, but taking a secondary role, and the heart consciousness is what is activated. So the information is received energetically, and people are embodying directly knowledge and wisdom.
Welcome to the Consciousness of the Way. I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Qing. And yet, I'm sorry, I can't. It's the same. I still have to create this very moment. I come down to the tree. It's Christmas Day, and wow, look at the universe has brought me this incredible being. I want to welcome to the podcast Livia Devi, who is a 5D mentor and a trance channel. Welcome to the podcast, my dear friend.
Thank you so much, San, for having me here, and I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today.
Oh yes, me too. It's never a moment that's not a moment of realization for anybody to just have a conversation about something greater than what they perceive in front of them. And I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to have conversations with incredible beings like yourself, masters in their own right, doing what they're doing to help raise the conscious collective. So I would like to just start with perhaps you just giving a little backstory to the audience about yourself leading up to this point.
Amazing. So, yes, I have a beautiful story and, unpredictable one. So I worked for 15 years in corporate in Silicon Valley, and I was an executive managing teams and being responsible of budgets and KPIs, until one day in 2016 when everything took a total new turn for me. In 2016, I had a big awakening, and I started to connect with other civilizations, interdimensional civilizations, to our brothers and sisters from other galactic realms, from the Sirius Council of Light and the Arcturian Council of Light. And if your audience or people that are watching us, they don't know who these beings are other civilizations. Sirius is part of the Sirius constellation, A, B, and C, and the Arcturians are part of Boots constellations, are other civilizations. So, I used to be a very practical, pragmatical, logical, grounded in a third dimensional being, fully plugged into the matrix, not having any connection with spirituality. And when this episode in 2016 happened to me, I definitely understood later on, like maybe halfway through the year of 2016, that I chose this experience and this incarnation before, coming in physical form here. But it was a very interesting journey because, how everything started for me. I woke up one morning in 2016 and I came back from San Francisco in Ireland, because I used to live 6 months in Ireland and 6 months in San Francisco. And I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, opened up my laptop to go online with 25 people that were waiting for me, and I fainted on the couch. And I woke up after 1 hour hearing millions of people speaking in my head, but not hearing any message, being like super noisy. And of course, as a normal, logical being, I said, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Maybe I'm burning out. I have like an episode of stress or something. So I called my manager and it's like, hey, I have a problem. Like I can't log in and work today because, I'm hearing voices in my head and I think I'm burning out. So, a part of myself wanted to actually stay grounded in physical reality because I don't know exactly what was going on with me. So I went to a general practitioner, which is my doctor in Ireland, and asking her for advice. She couldn't advise me, and then I started texting my friends, and one of my friends sent me the name of a psychiatrist in Ireland. So, I said, you know what, maybe I'm going to see this guy because maybe I'm losing my mind or something. So maybe he can fix me because anyone couldn't fix me. So I'm going and seeing this guy, and, it's so interesting how the universe is orchestrating everything perfectly and in divine alignment, because, I had a meeting with him and he was listening to me without saying anything. He was just asking questions and I was answering for like 1 hour. And then he said to me very straightforward, it's like, hey, Livia, you are not, you don't have a mental disorder. You are not bipolar. You are awakening. And I was looking at him and he's like, what do you mean I'm awakening? Because I didn't have any connection. I didn't even know what the word meant. And, I was, what do you mean? I'm awakened. I'm in front of you right now. What are you saying? And he's like, no, you are awakening. And he actually was not only the director of a psychiatric institution, but he was also trained in the Taoist tradition. And, he lived in east part of the world in India and Tibet for a while. And he learned, and he was very awakened. He was a Reiki master. He was connected. And he actually returned to Ireland to reform the entire psychiatric institution and to take out people that were on the medicine, because half of them, they were wrongly put it on the medicine because they were having ascension symptoms. So he was training the entire doctor's team of psychiatrists and psychologists and support him there. So I feel like I was extremely lucky, if I can say like that I ended up into his hands, because if it would have been any other doctor, I would have probably been in an institution right now under medication. And, he guided me for 6 months into this process of, seeing him twice a week. And he was just sharing with me about ascension and awakening and what is going on the planetary level and what is truly going on with me. And I know that after that first session, he sent me home with valerian root, which is a plant that you take to fall asleep, because I couldn't sleep. So I started to hear this voice in my head for 3 months. And after 3 months, everything streamed down into 4 voices. And there were the Sirius Council of Light, the Arcturian Council of Light, my higher self, and my ego that was trying to survive the experience of trying to understand what is going on. So this is how my journey started. And this is when, I decided, because I was not able to operate anymore in the 3rd dimension as a normal human being as before, I decided to completely resign my job. And because physically I was not able to go back to that old version of myself, because what happened, and I understood later once the Syrians explained me, is that they restarted my brain. They actually pushed the button. And it's like, it's time for you to wake up. And they completely restarted my brain, and they start to, recalibrate all the processor, all the processes and all the subconscious conditioning layers, and everything was starting to take another form. So in that 6 months process, I was not able to come back to an old version of myself, the version that was working in a corporate world and was generating like savings of millions of US dollars for this IT company. And I had to actually start a new life, and I was not ready for it, because, nobody told me that this is going to happen. I didn't have an instruction manual, like how to go about it. And I didn't really understood what was going on with me. But after those 3 months, the Syrian Council of Light from the 12th dimension, they were the voice that I was hearing very clear in my head. And they said to me that your training is starting now. You had been activated, and now we start to train you. So I was, I started to be trained by the Sirius Council of Light from the 12th dimension, and they were my teachers. So I had training with them day and night for 1 year. And after 1 year, they said to me, we have shifted your consciousness in 1 year as for other people in 40 years. And now it's time. And I was asking them, it's time for what? To connect to your soul and star family, to become to merge with your soul and star family. And I didn't understood anything that they were saying. But one night in 2017, in February, at the full moon, they told me, you now go and meditate. It was 11 o'clock in the evening. You meditate under the full moon, and you bring the full moon energy into your 3rd eye, and you wait. And I did that. And then this connection with the Arcturian Council of Light happened, because this is when a block of data and a block of energy just boom, like flew through me, and I went into a trance, and I didn't even know, because when I go into a trance, I'm not there anymore. So they went through me, and then I woke up, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? This is, I remember that I was meditating, and now I passed out or something. I didn't even know what happened. And then I start to hear them in my head, record yourself, like record the video and audio, look at yourself. And then I opened the laptop and I started recording myself. And the Arcturian Council was flowing through me that they didn't know how to speak English. So they were speaking light language and their language. And I freaked out the first time I looked at the video, because, you know, my voice was changing into a male voice, and my facial expression was taking the facial expression of another being from another dimension. And it was a light language that I didn't understood. So this is when it started for me to develop a relationship with the Arcturian Council of Light, because I was very like, wow, like, who are you guys and what's happening? And like, you know, how are you flowing through me? And, you know, they started to build a friendship with me, a relationship, to gain trust and to be able to surrender to this co-creation with them. So, you know, later on, I learned that my consciousness is part of their consciousness, and they learned everything that was stored as English language in my vocabularies, and they start to use the English words in actually transmitting their messages. And, you know, I'm fully embodying them, and, you know, I'm co-creating with them my life, but also impacting other people's life, like bringing 7-dimensional technologies, like giving teachings about quantum physics and mechanics, and like teaching people how consciousness is merged with science, and, you know, allowing people to actually quantum shift consciousness in time and space. So this is what I do right now. And, you know, I have a lot of information that I'm teaching that people are asking me, is like, where did you learn that? What book did you read? And I'm like, I didn't read anything. Like, I was completely zero on spirituality, to not even say quantum physics. My background is in history, social science, you know, like other stuff. But the knowledge that is coming is downloaded, you know, from their civilization. And, you know, they taught me also how to teach others how to download information. So this is what I do right now. You know, I'm activating light leaders and newer leaders in their soul mission. I'm activating people into connecting their soul and star families and light workers, you know, into what they're here to do and to live in their purpose. So this is like, in a nutshell, I was trying to put, like, you know, a journey that started for me in 2016 until 2024 in just a couple of minutes here. But there is so much to speak about. You know, there's so much to speak about what had happened and what is actually happening right now, you know, like, and how this incredible connection with the Arcturian Council of Light evolved in time and space, and the impact that, you know, I'm making through other people, how we are bringing, you know, how we come together in creating these beautiful new realities for humanity. So, yes.
Amen to that. Amen to that. No, it really is. I've sort of been in this space a while, just over 30 years, and I started channeling about 30 years ago. So my first interaction with my teacher was Lao Tzu, and I channeled him the first time I ever was introduced to channeling. My teacher at the time had 60 years doing this stuff, and he was like, "What the? Why you? I've been doing this so long." And, you know, I think there's this, well, I know, recalling, you know, the last couple of 100 lives, 1,000 lives that I've had leading up to this point. This is something that you know, you remember, but it's very interesting, your description, because there's a million ways up the mountain. Now, when I accessed Lao Tzu for the first time over 30 years ago, what happens is it's a visceral thing for the audience, and it's very interesting you describing it the way you have, because I've come across very few people that experience it to the magnitude that I do, and there's a tremendous amount of energy that transmits through this physicality right down to a subatomic particle. The first time I accessed Lao Tzu, it was like people were surrounding me with like sticks and marshmallows, cooking their marshmallows from the transmission. And that happens, just generally speaking, whether I'm directly focusing on that, or it could be a subsection of what that might be from a transmission level, mediumship, channeling, clairvoyance. I just call them all sensory perception. So I was really, really excited when you described your experience that had a very similar sort of like a characteristic to the one that I experienced, a visceral one, and it's very kinesthetic, and it's very expansive. There's a lot of heat. It's a high frequency beyond something that's within this electromagnetic spectrum. And I at this point I have over 171 teachers that I channel at will on a second by second basis. And from a Taoist, we call it the diamond, which is perfection manifest. And we're looking into each facet. Each facet is an expression of that. For you, it seems to be the channel, the council of the fifth dimension. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this. I warned you I would butcher people. That there's a degree of these different levels of energy and information frequency that you're transmitting, and it's very palpable. If I don't have any requests, no sustenance needed, I could sit up for days and weeks on end transmitting and transcribing information from these sources. And that's kind of like how it happens. And I find it really powerful that you had this this realization, this epiphany. And generally speaking, from 30 years ago, because I mean, one of the things I do as a priest is within the lineages is deep. One of them is exorcism. So that was 30 years ago. Most people would come to me with a psychotic episode going, I just don't feel right. People are telling me I need to go to some psych ward. Can you help me out? Now, today, your story seems to be more self-evident to a very similar sort of response to a lot of people these days. I'm not getting a line of people needing to struggle with potential psychotic episodes. They wake up one day and they channel the Palladians. Next minute, they get a YouTube channel and 100,000 people follow them. I think it's amazing. This is what goes on. And it's like it is a universal thing. I've never in 30 years seen the magnitude of people that, as you would say, are awakened, are woken up to their potential and what they're able to access. So you've been really full force into this, and the frequency is quite palpable. I'm excited. I'm enjoying burning my eyebrows right now. And it's just about where are you at in your own development of accessing that. Now, from a layman perspective, they're going to have a mind-altering effect that will be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and they may not even have a definition for it because they can't. What I think the audience needs to understand is this is not something that you have to be in a belief system of.
Yes, right? No.
You don't have to, oh man, but I believe in this, and it doesn't matter. You are going to have an experience to alter your very reality right now because of what you're transmitting. So I think this is really important, and this is a thing that is not spoken about enough, or perhaps maybe there is, I would say today that there's a level of most people are really at this pinnacle. I've never seen someone to the degree of density that you've acquired in 30 years. I mean, I'm used to it. It happened for me first go, but when you look at people, generally speaking, a lot of people are waking up, but they're not getting a very descriptive sort of realization. Now, there's a million ways up the mountain. I'm never going to dismiss anyone's belief system because then you dismiss your own. So the question that I have for you is, now that you've been in the saddle for now 6, 7, my goodness, a lot of years, almost 8 years. What is it now when you do an activation? Is it a certain amount of time that it takes for you to alter someone's reality? Give us more of an insight to the structure of how your teachers transmit through you.
So the way I'm transmitting is that, as you said, it's not something conceptual anymore. It's something embodied. So they merge completely with my consciousness, and they made access point in my pineal gland and in my heart consciousness. So the way it works is that there is a council of light of elders behind, and then there is my higher self and my creator as well. There is a one being, a female being, that said that she created me, like she's the mother. And then she's transmitting information straight away to my higher self, and everything is downloaded in the same time in my consciousness and in my physical body. But these links are so mathematically and precisely made that there is no time for, like, I'm taken out into in between dimensions, like mostly in between fifth and the sixth dimension. They elevate my frequency, and I'm putting into a space, and they come through. They use the 4-dimensional bridge and the 6-dimensional bridge. They collapse it, and this is when they transmit information. They are interdimensional teachers, omnipresent. So the way I'm activating people is that their frequency is very high. So this is why my teachings right now, in this moment now where humanity is, can't be received by everyone, because some people can actually, if they receive the transmission, their nervous system or electrical body can burn. Like literally they can burn, like the synapses can damage. So the people that are coming in my reality, they are actually the ones that are able to intercept and embody the transmission, are actually the one that are able to receive this type of frequency. So the way it's working is that everyone that is coming in my reality, people are already awakened and they're able to access the quantum field. And then from that point, on the 4-dimensional bridge, the Arcturian...
Did you see that? Did you? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, I have this happen a lot. It's an issue with high frequency to Wi-Fi. I blow that out a lot, and I'm sure you do the same. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
So two energies like you and I, and
coming together.
We have problems, Houston.
So the transmission is like people are elevating their frequency on the 4th dimension. They are receiving the energetic knowledge. So people are not, it's not important what the council is saying to words, is the energy behind the words. This is what they are intercepting. And is going straight into their light bodies, into their crystalline light body and diamond light body, into their pineal gland, into their heart consciousness.
Woo!
When they are transmitting, they are somehow bypassing the mind and are putting the mind into theta waves and even epsilon waves. So are going into a state of like dreaming, but also awakening and also activating. It's very interesting, but taking a secondary role, and the heart consciousness is what is activated. So the information is received energetically, and people are embodying directly knowledge and wisdom, and suddenly they start to know things without even knowing where they got it. So it's not from, it's like awakening and remembrance of a wisdom, because it's an embodied knowledge. The interesting part of it, if you are so much into the quantum field and energetics, is that once they do an activation, people can actually experience, like in those activations, like they can move so fast into parallel timelines that they start to embody experiences that they are having within that timeline. So what does that mean? It means that they can have lived experience within a quantum transmission, because you can't embody anything until you lived that experience, right? We need to live first in order to embody it, in order to know it, in order for knowledge, when knowledge is transformed into wisdom. So this activation is taking people so fast to parallel timelines, they have no recollection that they live those timelines, but they are embodying the teachings through lived experience within a time frame of reality. It's very complex to explain this because people are not aware, but there are people that are actually able to come with me and the council in the quantum field, and they see how fast they shift. And they are like, oh my God, I learned that, and I have seen that, I have lived that timeline. And it's crazy that I lived, because it's like I had a lived experience and it's embodied. So I work with people that are also able to access the quantum field, because this is where the magic happens. Sometimes it's only me and the council, and I want others to join the the experience because it's more fun, you know. So I'm working with people that are connected and they are ready to understand, because what's happening, there is one thing when someone drinks plant medicine and the plant teacher is taking them through a journey and they have no control over it. And there is another thing when you drink water and go into the quantum field and you live the experience with awareness, with intensity, and you are able to actually track down and learn from where you are to where you have arrived. You learn how you quantum shifted. You learn how your consciousness evolved. You learn how you moved in time and space. And that's not something outside of you that a plant teacher is doing or a physical teacher, but it's something that you are doing it and you are learning it. And this is where my teachings are actually focused, because I'm here to empower people to understand their incredible power and who they are, and to learn how to shift on their own consciousness, to not need me, after 5 years and 2 years or 6 months. I want them to be so free into understanding consciousness and to understand that there are so many levels that we can play and explore beyond this physical reality and on the multi-dimensional grid. And this is where human consciousness and like mankind is evolving, because other species have learned, other civilizations learn. It's like, yeah, okay, we actually play here within the third dimension, but there are so many other dimensions of existence that we can explore together as a collective in order to understand the essence of life, because life and death and physicality and non-physicality are merging together. Is this beautiful infinite space of co-creation, and we are not limited in boxes of reality anymore. So this is why I'm teaching, and this is why I'm here to actually help people to empower themselves to have those access points into these higher realms, and for them to understand that there is so much more to life, living, and to non-physical. And the experience of life is continuing endlessly within the field of source energy. So yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Woo! Amen to that. No, this is fantastic. This is amazing, because I've been begging for decades to get a group of people that could actually comprehend the magnitude of what this is now. In the last couple of months, I've probably gathered, through my own vetting, probably well in excess of 60 real channelers. Real. Not potentially, as we put it, a figment of someone's imagination. And everyone has to start somewhere. I'm not dismissing where people are at, but there's a palpability, there's an energetic profile that takes place as you start to develop these sort of infrastructure that can hold a resonance in what you've just called it, the 3D reality. There's, this is imperfection, right? So from a attention intention level, light to wave to matter to particle has been altered from a sheet of perfection within what you would call a quantum model. That's why you're able to perceive it, because it has been altered. It has a different signature. It's an energy that's been created by your attention intention. Developing that has a vibration. That vibration has a frequency. That frequency resonates at a certain signature. And so when people are able to hold that signature, it will be theirs. Oh, yes, it will. Oh, yes. So, I love all the way that your teachers are sharing this information with people. I feel like quantum in of itself is, in retrospect, looking at the sort of messaging that I get from my teachers, very new in language. Like something that and I mean, human timeline is so really, not a moot point for most historians these days, because it's just so distorted to what the actual information is. But I know for a fact that within my Taoist path that, we've been operating and communicating with the universe for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, people may have a timeline, and, all my teachers, especially the Yellow Emperor, who was basically the guy who created the Chinese landscape as you know it, everything that exists in China, right down to the 7 generations of morphed language into Mandarin came from this guy. And, you know, every time I go into counsel with him, it's an interesting output because you know the information is real. It's like people are like, well, you are a Taoist priest in these two lineage holders, but the information you get is so much more broad to it. And when you say it to me, I feel it. I know it's true. It's just like the charge you're getting right now, this realization. It's an expansive thing. And you know, how do you do this? Well, I see it first, and then I experience the visceral experience, whatever the individual is having. Or furthermore, we go together in that journey. It's a clear sense development. Now, you're getting this. What would you say is the most profound effect of this journey that you're having? Because when people wake up, it's really profound. For me, I started seeing low, very infantile stuff, but it's an expression of this. Like physicality, physical healing is pretty low on the rut of consciousness, but it's there, and people get very impressed by it. That happened to be the first thing I got to witness over 30 years ago, was physical flesh transmute back to its natural state from a gangrenous tissue to pink in color in 40 minutes. Now, this is the kind of stuff that I see on a daily basis. What do you see? Because it's so high frequency for the audience, you're altering the spirit realm. This is it. Like for a Taoist, the highest ascension of divination is direct source information channeling. And there's a progression that you go through to develop these skills. What say you in your own journey? You're altering people's reality. I mean, you're probably tearing through the world, having people wake up one day and go, I was an accountant, now I'm a light worker. It just happens, right?
Yes. You know, in physical, from a physical perspective, what I'm seeing is that a huge shift of on consciousness that is coming from utilizing like different quantum 7-dimensional technologies like color, sound technology, plasma light technologies, different technologies that the Arcturian Council of Light is bringing. And they are actually, you know, they are kind of like, when they bring these technologies, there is like they're opening the multidimensional field, and they're connecting with the electrical body, with the mental body, with the emotional body, with, you know, the light bodies, the physical body. So there is an experience in the wholeness of who we are, not only in one specific thing. It's like they are working on the wholeness of who we are, like at all levels, layers, and dimensions of our being. And there are quantum shifts in consciousness that's happening, like the soul of their person is fully involved within the process. So there is a change that's happening, an evolution of the soul, you know, where that is reflected in the physical experience, in the physical reality. What I've seen in people during time is that they are shifting consciousness super fast, and they're accelerating from one version of themselves to another super fast, that they can't track anymore, like, you know, the past 5 versions of them that was before. Like the acceleration in time and space is super fast. I've seen it in my journey, and I'm seeing it with people that, you know, are working with me, and I'm even seeing with my husband. So he is entrained into my field, that he's like going from one version to another. And what's happening when we go to one version to another is like we are gathering information from parallel and alternate timelines of us, but in the same time we are unlocking who we truly are. So we are unlocking, you know, like what we have gathered through eons of incarnations on this planet and other planets, in order to, like, we are unlocking more of our gifts and talents and abilities, and expanding our consciousness in order to be able to serve on this planet, and to be able to, you know, it's a very, you know, my mission on this planet, it's a path of devotion. And I have been on this path of devotion for many lifetimes and incarnations, you know. So I was like, I'm on this path of devotion and commitment to my soul mission and my purpose. You know, there are many people within spiritual realm that they are kind of, and you know, I have all the love for them, because there is innocence and wonder, and this young spiritual consciousness where people are like just playing around and discovering and conceptualizing. And there is another path like us, that we know who we are, and we are here for like a very specific mission, and we are 1000% committed to it. And there is this devotion to it, and there is this responsibility to it, you know, because we know how we can actually impact people, and how we can alter and shift their lives, and how we can actually help their soul evolve. And even if, you know, my client, some people are seeing, and many, like all of them are seeing changes in their physical reality, but they're only able to intercept the changes at the linear level. But they're not able to see the impact that is happening at multidimensional grid and at the soul level, because I'm here to serve souls, not linear consciousnesses. So my work goes beyond of what people perceive, and I know that this is my mission. I know I'm here to serve in this way, because the more we are evolving at the soul level, and especially the ones that are pioneers linear timelines, the more the entire collective consciousness of this planet is elevated. So it's a journey of how to say, like, I think I had many incarnations where I actually served, not being so much known, like being behind the scene, like behind the scene and doing my work and receiving my blessings and the divine unconditional love when I transition in on physical. I always had that path, and I'm okay with that, because even now, having access to so much knowledge, I know that not everyone is able to understand my language, to receive the energetic transmission, or to be able to receive the energy. So this is why I'm activating key people on this planet, like light leaders, that they have networks and they are able to take this frequency and actually be able to integrate it inside of them, and down the line activate others. Every person I work with become an activator, becomes like someone that activates others only through breathing and being without doing anything, and this is amazing, because this is what we are here to do, and this is how we are going to elevate the frequency of this planet at multidimensional level. Because what's happening is that it's not only this planet, there are multiple versions of Earth. So we are holding the entire grid, of all versions of all Earth through all timelines and dimensions, and we are bridging with the highest timelines of new Earth. So there are many changes that people are experiencing, but the most profound changes are the ones that are happening behind the holographic field, behind the grids of reality. These are the changes that are more important than what's happening here in linear form, And yeah, people are like shifting jobs, or, changing lives, and healing their bodies, or building incredible missions on this planet that creating legacies and impact. And this is beautiful. And there are some of them that are able to tap into the highest of the highest of the highest of the highest service and frequency, and see behind the scenes what is truly going on, like how we are here to actually recreate everything from the background, up to up front. Because working on the outside, the outside reality is just a projection of a holographic field. This reality doesn't truly exist, What is behind is what matters, because we are translating with our pineal gland, pituitary gland, the medulla oblongata. Just we are translating energy into form. This is just a third dimensional reality, and people are moving in the fourth dimension, and they are elevating their frequency to the fifth dimension. So it's a journey. It's a powerful journey. I'm 1000% committed to it. And I know what commitment is, like I'm taking things seriously, Maybe I should not take it so seriously, but
no, not at all. I mean, I attribute my entry into this lifetime to such an access of past lives due to my childlike nature. Accept everything at face value. And that sort of leads back to more an understanding of the scripture. And just recently, I just transcribed the 2024 version of the TAO Te Ching with Lao Tzu. I just published that. Within the Taoist path, that's a magical register. So every verse is an incantation. Every incantation has, levels of conscious change, and it has a frequency with it. So when you read it, it's a visceral thing. The words come off the page, they circle around you, and they drop right into your middle dantian, and it infuses you at a level you've never experienced before, as we understand. So it's so exciting and refreshing to constantly have conversations with people that are really resonating at this frequency. Now, we get into the dimensions. I use that. I did write a book about, the ancient practice of synchronicity, and referring to a a more dimensional model of understanding for people to understand levels of conscious shifting. And I think it's very helpful for most people. They resonate with it, literally. I think that that's a great way your teachers are sharing this information by using a model that, even though to your own admission, you said some people don't understand the depth of information. I really believe that that language of quantum is really, really, really helpful for a lot of people that may be like, I'm not spiritual. I don't know what I am, but oh, that makes sense. Oh. And then all of a sudden, they look like they put their finger in an electric socket after they finish with you. And, they're like, I think I need a cigarette after that one. Hey, look, it happens. You know what I mean? It's part of that realization. So now you activate these activators, because I think there's an interesting conversation I have with the progression within Taoism. We have like 9 stages of complete embodiment to resonate. And it starts with the physical body, the energetic body, the spiritual body. Then we go into the sun body, the earth body, the moon body. And then finally we finish with the oneness, the ultimate, and finally being one with all. And so that realization is sort of a 9-stage epiphany for most people as you acquire this resonance. And it really doesn't come from my personal opinion, an experience in doing this 30 years from my lens. The resonance is not from this electromagnetic spectrum. And I think that's something that a lot of people have sort of like agreed with me on over this journey of talking to incredible master activators like yourself, that this is perfection. When I bring in chi or life force, or what we call the mother, which is the Tao, some people will call it God, Buddha, universe, prana. It's perfection. It's not the same. It doesn't even come close, and people like freak out because it's so dramatically different from what they're used to, that they literally are like having like an awakening instantaneously, being exposed to your frequency. And so they have this sort of thing, and some people use this, and I'm not a fan of it because it doesn't really make any sense. But they use this guy named Stephen Hawkins or something, and he has this scale of like what he's defined as conscious development on an emotional state, what these frequencies or Hertz frequencies mean. The reason I bring it up is because you're referencing brainwaves and things like that, and I use that quite often to help people understand where they're at, whether they're in the center of the center of the center, right? And so for me, I've been measuring my brainwaves for many years, and when I have people acquire a state, there, you hit what we call a gamma brainwave for people that are not familiar, and that goes anywhere from 40. Normally, the highest I've ever measured my brainwaves is about 400 hertz, and that's not within the spectrum of what people call the Stephen Hawking scale, right? Mm-hmm. And so 400 hertz, I still witness physical healings. I see bones fuse before my eyes. I see tissue reform instantly. And so that's not in the 963 model of conscious hertz frequency. And so I want people to understand this, because people will see these things and then go, well, I can't, now that doesn't, well, I can't do that, or it doesn't make sense, or I haven't got there. There's a million ways up the mountain, guys. A million. Always remember this. It's like that chill you're getting right now is the admission of this. And so, where you were at 2016 to now, it's like you woke up one day and went, what? I'm having a mental breakdown. It must be. I mean, this is what the society's telling me. And in actuality, no, you are like the new coming. You are the awakening. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Highlander. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes. Yeah.
The awakening. There can only be one now. And I say that, and everyone, and my students like, Jufu, but you cut everyone's head off, and there's only one person. Yeah, that's a bad example. Bad example, guys. But it is a quickening. There is a this level of awareness that takes place that is second to none. And you will literally, I get it all the time. I'm an accountant. I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm a doctor. And now I'm a healer. I'm a star seed. I'm a channeler. It's like, hallelujah. Let's keep it coming.
It's very interesting. What you're saying is that everything you said, like I have so much to add, because like there is so much richness in everything you are transmitting. But when it comes to breathing and bringing prana, life force energy, chi, the highest frequency of source energy into our heart and soul, like it's so important because people believe that they have to do something in order to awaken, or they have to put so much action into going into that state, like instead of like allowing this energy and frequency to just connect to our heart consciousness. And the teachings of the Arcturian Council of Light is they are bypassing the mind and connecting to our hearts, because the heart knows the way. The heart lives in the circular time, in the quantum time, right? And the way they are translating, because what's happening into the source energy field, there are no dimensions, in the way we wanted to make this hierarchy, but the council said, we will teach you this way, because people are, part of their brain is like in their consciousness in the third dimension and the fourth dimension. So we will teach you like hierarchy in order for you to understand the evolution. Otherwise you'll not be able to understand, because in the third dimension you are caught up within the contrast and duality, and you are only seeing things in right and wrong, good and bad. You are always seeing light and darkness. Like you will not be able to intercept through your physical senses that are activated right now our teaching. So we will bring these structures for you guys to actually, like for us to have a journey together, So because they told me that one day I will transmit in silence. Like I will not speak anymore. They will just flow through me, and they will just breathe with people, simply in silence. And that's the entire telepathic transmission, energetic transmission that people will need in order to shift their consciousness, So it will come a time when language would not be necessary anymore. It will come a time when full embodiment of consciousness will be there. It will come a time when telepathic communication and transmission will be available. And this is when we are here to actually open people's hearts, into allowing them to access this higher version of consciousness of who they truly are. And it's interesting, and I love also your path, as being a priest and holding this tradition, Taoist tradition for generations, because it's something that this incarnation, actually I was 11 years old. I went to my mother and father and I knocked at their bedroom, and it's like, guys, there is a beautiful monastery just 30 kilometers away. I want to be a nun. Can you just let me there? Because this is what I need to do on this planet. And my father looked at me and is like, no, you're not going to be a nun. What's wrong with you? But every time I was going to the monastery, I just had this peace in my heart. And I felt like my soul and my heart remembered that I had many incarnations as a nun, and, like living in this sanctified field of prayer. Like, and even now, even if I'm connected with the Arcturian Council of Light, like I love going to monasteries. I love to go in places where actually my soul feels like this home, and, I actually, at some point in time when I was connecting the series, the Arcturian Council of Light, I also had this tendency to go to church, but not in a way, like not type of prayer towards something that is not like prayer towards source energy, not because I was already connected with the angelic realm, like with the Archangel Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Metatron. I was already working with them and they were my friends. Just that field, like that field, that energetic field. And the council is like, no, you are, because I had this tendency of being like introverted, and I just want to be like, I want to live in a cave, and I can actually be on my own, only with source energy, and live in isolation. And that's normal for me. It was unnormal for me after they trained me to go back to the world. Like I didn't feel like I belong to the world. And they were saying, no, you have to go back. In this lifetime, you will have to go back, and you will teach what, this is what you need, what you are here to do, to teach. to teach what we have taught you. Like, you are not here to stay in isolation in your comfort zone, because isolation was my comfort zone, and I can do this effortlessly. Like, I can go in the forest and into the cave and stay there forever, like meditate in the dark, because this is where I belong. Like, you know.
Amen to that. I mean, that's literally, I have a Taoist temple. I can go in here and disappear for days on end. If I didn't have a wife and 6 kids, maybe I'd come back. But once you go into session, for me, when I go into council, it's, I think it's so important that people have that relationship, that intimate relationship with that resonance. You just keep, like, you it's just so exciting. We're besties now. I mean, because it's so much, if you haven't experienced it yet, it's very hard to define in words that would be even relatable. And so everyone has their own seed of a starting point. It's like a thread that you're pulling away. And as you develop your skills, you can become more articulate and definitive in what it is you're experiencing. And that's really important for me, is not to ever suggest. It's not a suggestion. A lot of people go, oh, well, what is it? What is this? Are you hypnotizing me? I'm like, that is so low level stuff, my friend. This is like entry level, sort of like humanistic processes within a conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, like gear shifting. And, that's definitely part of people's evolution, is realizing there are these sort of developmental skills that you acquire, but that doesn't even come to what we're speaking of. It's on a whole nother realm. And, that need for a human to finish a cycle, I really like the way you said that. Speaking on something that within Taoism, we look at things as yin and yang, and you're subject, until otherwise noted, to this dualistic sort of expression of your reality. And then once you resonate higher, you realize that there is no good and bad, up or down, left and right, in or out. It's all is one, one is all. The mother, the chi, the prana, the Tao, Buddha, God, Jesus, it's one.
One. Yes, and this is where oneness and unity consciousness, I feel like every human being needs to have that connection with themselves before having, everyone wants to connect with star civilizations and are coming to me. I want to connect with Pleiadians. I want to connect with Andromedans. I want to connect with Arcturians. And I always tell them, did you connect to yourself first? Because if you connect to yourself, then you will connect with everything that is. And I feel like people always look and, to grab things outside of them, but when all the consciousness, the universe, multiverse of existence and connection is inside. Consciousness is not outside, it's inside, it's sprouting from inside out, like we are in a field of consciousness right now, but to understand where we are, is we have to connect to ourselves first. And this is why, it's also, as you said, cycles of evolution within eons of incarnations, and soul path and journeys. And we even if we live on the same planet, we are at different level of evolution, of transformation, and this evolution will continue. I always see evolution not only one particular lifetime, but what we have done as a soul during many, many incarnations. And I'm excited, San, because we incarnated on this planet right here, right now. And there are many people like us that it feels like, we are coming together into teaching people about self-mastery, and attaining that level of self-mastery, because there are many people that actually took lifetimes of embodiment, and now they are already in this incarnation to reach self-mastery. They didn't do it before. And this is exciting for me. When people are saying, yeah, but why, like you have to teach millions of people. And it's like, no, I have to teach one person. And if that one person, I'm impacting that person and serving at a soul level and reaching and embodying self-mastery, that person can change the world. To get like one person can actually be like millions of people, because one person that is embodying self-mastery is able to quantum shift realities like wow, because it's like it's entraining the entire collective. That one person entrains the entire collective, is elevating frequency of the entire collective. And this is how I see things into perspective. It's like I'm seeing things, how we can change the world in a way that is, in a way that is embodied. And it's not so much, it's not about of how many people are going there, but there are specific people that have soul contracts with us to work in this incarnation to actually go to the next level. And for me, this is what I'm here for, like this is what I'm holding the field for. And, I know that one day my teachings will be like reached. And what's interesting is like people don't find me just like that. I don't exist in some people realities, but I exist in people realities that are able to elevate their frequency to synergize with mine. And this is when they found me. I'm always saying people find me when they are ready, because it is a level of readiness, and it's a level of commitment and 100% desire for being embodied in their soul mission and accelerate their evolution. Not everyone is here to accelerate many people, they just don't want to accelerate. They just want to stay in their comfort zone, and that's okay, because there are other incarnations that will come. So, it's a continuous cycle. It's like not everyone has to be awakened in this life. Not everyone has to be, whoever is meant to happen, it will happen. And, I'm always saying to people, because there are like, oh, but when this is going to happen to me? And I'm always saying there is divine timing and divine alignment, and we work in precision here, like precision, like mathematical precision with everything. So nothing that is meant to be you will not miss what is meant to be for you, because what's meant to be is going to happen because you chose that experience. So yeah.
Amen to that. No, I know we're coming close to the end here. You're very meticulous. You corporate IT spiritual Silicon Valley expression of enlightenment.
You mentioned earlier about the diamond facets, right?
Right. This is sort of like really profound that you brought that up. Within Taoism, numbers, numerology is so powerful now. There's every day you breathe X amount of breaths, right? Which within Taoism we use the breath, the respiration as a vehicle. So you use breath to move the qi, and we also use intention within Nigong, Nidan, which is internal alchemy, to move the energy with your mind, move the energy with your breath. And so these two very incredibly intricate, masterful alchemy that we create internally to separate the electric from magnetic and do, super silly things that might find people entertained at a high level of consciousness, like enveloping my forearm, running a skewer through it, pulling it out. You don't see the entry or exit point, but people go, what the? And that raises the consciousness. There are all different ways to get your attention. And it's all part of the collective. It's all part of a higher resonance that you acquire. And that's all it takes. And we all have that path. And I really believe you and I are helping people remember who they really are. And within Taoism, we call it, let the man who's never left the village, let him know he's seen the world, because it's right here. You don't go nowhere. And you love that charge you got there. Is like, this is what I'm talking about, because you and I are very much the same, I believe, because I love going to places of worship. I love to embody all of that. I don't care what it is. It's so beautiful to me to experience it on every single level. And I love that. Yeah. And so, this is something that I feel like there, as there are no coincidences. So we've created this new bond and friendship of remembering who we are. And I'm looking forward to expanding on that in the future in many different ways. I will ask you in closing, what is it that you, I'm going to put all your social media under this podcast, where people can find you, where they can get their activations. Do they need to book in for an appointment? You like a lot of these incredible light energy activators. There's a 2-year wait or something of that nature. Is anyone ever going to get a chance to hang out with the Wizard of Oz or what? I mean,
yeah. So, if people can find me at liviadevi.com. This is my website. On Instagram, Arcturians Channeling, Livia Devi. If you just Google my name, you'll find me. The next program that I'm running is called Soul Mission Accelerator, where I'm activating people in their soul mission, and it's starting in July. And just for everyone, like just insert your name and send me an email. Just say hi. Like even on Instagram and Facebook, just say hi. If you feel to connect. And I'm here for everyone that feels the magnetic pull and the connection and curiosity and wonder, and is ready to go to the next level of discovery and exploration, because I'm an explorer in this time and space, and I like to explore realities, timeline, incarnation, civilization. So this is what I do. And I'm a little bit geek with the technology, because the Arcturians are very technological oriented. They have a lot of healing technologies and also regeneration technologies, how to create crop circles technology. There's they use a lot of technologies, and they like to teach people this, So if you feel connected, just send me a message, say hi. I'm here for you guys. And thank you so much, San, for this conversation. I definitely feel like there is no coincidence, and every person that is crossing my path is coming with us in a specific alignment and for a specific co-creation. And I definitely feel that this very beautiful connection with you, and I definitely feel like there is so much for us to share together. And I'm very honored to be in your presence, because I can feel and see you beyond this incarnation right now. And for me, it's very special, every meeting with every person, it's such a gift from the divine. And, I'm very grateful, very, very grateful to you, and very grateful to have met you right here, right now in this incarnation. It's a big deal. So thank you.
I want to thank you. I'm really, really, really grateful that you spent your time today and you're sharing with the audience. I want my students, the OGs of the channel, all the 126ers. I say 126ers. That's a whole nother story. We can have a conversation about that. And go out and find Livia. Go out and check out all her stuff and explore it. And, I got a feeling that you got a better chance of seeing a unicorn fly backwards, but she's going to share with you. Now, whether you can get a meeting with the wizard is another story. I think she's pretty booked up, but I want you to reach out and communicate. And so I want to thank you so much, my dear friend,
thank you.
for coming on this channel. I want to thank the universe for bringing you into my life. I want to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Qing, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.